welcome to the inaugural taping of the M&A Mastermind podcast. This is the place where we bring in experts to talk about ways in which you can level up your M&A practice. I am Nick Olson, Managing Director of Cornerstone International Alliance, an international group of M&A firms who focus on the lower middle market. And in this forum, we bring in guests who are true masters of their crafts, who are experienced, knowledgeable, and gracious enough to share their experiences in the M&A industry with you as our audience. Today, I am very excited for our guest here. He is a founding member of Cornerstone International Alliance. He's a certified business intermediary and a certified merger and acquisition master intermediary. He studied chemical engineering in college and still found his way to the world of M&A. He is the CEO and founding partner of Agency Brokerage Consultants in Florida and one of the smartest people I know. So I would like to welcome today Mike Mensch. Mike, thank you so much for joining us today.
Thank you, Nick.
All right. Well, let's dive in here. Today, we are focusing on how to specialize in M&A, and would love to hear, the backstory or the background of how Agency Brokerage Consultants was created, how you got to M&A, and what you guys do as and talk about what you specialize in and how that came to be.
Sure. So, first I'll rewind all the way back to how a chemical engineer ends up as an M&A advisor.
Yeah, I'd love to know that story.
My dad was a physicist. My mom was in real estate banking and then finished her career kind of in M&A. So I probably could describe it as I started following my dad's path, and then in 2006 or 2005 pivoted and jumped into working with my mom, who was at the time doing Main Street business brokerage and lower middle, very low end M&A transactions. But that was also, if you look at that timeline, 2006 was probably the worst time in the world to get into this. 2007, 2008, with the financial meltdown.
Yeah, sorry to jump in there. I was wondering, so you're doing chemical engineering. You saw what your mom was doing. Like, what intrigued you about what she was doing that actually made you decide to pivot?
So I'm really good at numbers, right? That's the engineering
I would
side.
agree with that.
And then I found out I actually like numbers that have dollar signs in front of them more than I like any other type of number. But I grew up, my mom was a motivational speaker. She always I was brainwashed with Zig Ziglar and everything. So there was always this underlying, sales skills that just weren't being utilized. And people even told me when I was studying engineering, they're like, you're not really an engineer. Like, you don't fit the mold. So it was inevitable, I think.
Yeah, that's a good story. So when did you get into the business then? You said 2006, 7?
Yeah, 2006, I started kind of part-time moonlighting. 2007, I jumped in full-time. Like I joked, I mean, that's the financial meltdown was happening. So, the lenders stopped lending, business revenues were going downward. We were generalists at the time. We had a client that had a distribution business, and he said, "You really should talk to my brother. He needs to retire. He's got an insurance agency." So we went over, met with the brother, and ended up putting the agency on the market. In spite of the conditions of the economy, we had multiple buyers that were bidding on it, found a private lender that would finance it. And when I talked to people in the industry, there really wasn't anybody that specialized in our region in selling agencies. There's one person that most of the buyers that I talked to didn't really respect or like. So it's kind of like, opportunity.
Yeah.
Found financing, had a lot of strategic buyers, and there really wasn't anybody specialized. So from 2008 onward, that's all I've done is worked in the insurance industry. You kind of know the story. We started in Florida and then gradually expanded outside, and now we're work nationwide with clients all over the country.
Yeah, I would say that was a pretty good move on your guys' part because don't want to get into all the awards you guys won over the years as top M&A firms in the insurance industry. So definitely a kudos to you guys. So that you saw that opportunity there. You had a good experience and success with your first deal, and then you decided to get more into that. Like how take us through that process of like how did you become, I mean, the experts, or what did you have to do to be the expert in that space over, the first couple of years?
Yeah. So let me paint the picture, right? So I was working on a PhD in a highly competitive field, that highly technical and everything. And then all of a sudden I decided, after, all that schooling, to just change careers. And then, like I said, I jumped in at the worst time ever. So there was this, I have to make this work attitude. Like,
Yeah.
we were selling Main Street businesses in a small market area. And I actually, like, my first year, wrote up a 65-page market analysis of like where the opportunities may be. So I was
Mm,
desperate to really make it work. So I was hungry, working hard, putting in 70 hours a week. But really, the transition, I'll also add the fact that, I was 27 at the time. So I was half the age of most of the folks in the field. So it was really difficult. A lot of things were working kind of against me, but, um, I dug in, studied, talked to a lot of people, studied the industry, ended up getting licensing and everything. I mean, so it was, there's a huge learning curve if you get into M&A, but by specializing, it helped me to narrow that learning curve down so I could go move faster. And so, I talked to a lot of people, studied the industry, got books on insurance agency, M&A, read all that, and just really worked hard the first, five. Well, we still work hard, but worked really hard in the beginning to stand out. Did some cooperative marketing with that lender that I mentioned. They had a national branded footprint. They were reaching out to 20,000 insurance agencies a year. So I just dovetailed off them, started providing content and webinars and everything. So,
mhm.
um, that's kind of the initial part. It's just a lot of hard work, a lot of hustle, a lot of serving clients. I mean, I think I told you too, the challenge when you're young is the approaches that may work for a 60-year-old M&A advisor don't work for a 27-year-old, meaning you're trying to deal with clients that are double your age. So I took I'm going to work really hard, be super polite, do a great job. My clients would get emails from me at 1 a.m. and then get emails from me again at 7 a.m. They said, you're always available. So I
Mm,
just, just a little bit of advice for younger folks is like, it doesn't matter your age, just do a really good job, serve the client, and be an expert at what you do. And my signature was, I always talk to people. I said, "Yes, sir. Yes, ma'am." Which
mhm.
people would tease me about, but at the same time, showing
Yeah.
level of respect for older clients pays
Yeah.
off.
Oh, absolutely, absolutely. That's really good advice, and appreciate that. Now when you got into it though, you weren't always a specialist, right? You did some general M&A
Correct.
work. Is that correct?
Yeah, we were a franchise office when I got into it.
Okay. What kind of deals did you do? What industries did you do
Uh,
before you kind of dove into the
yeah, no, we
specialist?
didn't. So I joined an existing firm.
Okay.
We're doing restaurant, Main Street, so
Yeah.
restaurants, retail, service, contractors, things like that. But shortly after I got in, that's when I just jumped into a specialty, and that's where I stayed ever since.
Yeah. Was that transition easy, hard? It was seamless, or how did that go?
Um, I convinced my partner to ditch the franchise in 2009 so we could develop a specialty brand.
Mm,
Um, so, we went all in, changed our name, changed all our marketing and branding. It wasn't, I mean, you still, like anything, you have to build up the reputation. So in the
right.
beginning, we're trying to convince people to work with us when we'd only done one, two, three, four, five deals. Now we've done 400 deals or so, and it's a lot easier to convince them that you're the expert.
Right, right, right. Absolutely. Excuse me. So what are the advantages? Not only, well, let's start here. What are the advantages for you and your firm to specialize? Like, what are the what makes it easy is not the right word, but you guys, do great in the space. Like, what does that do for you and your staff as to what advantages you guys might have against your competition?
Well, first, I mean, our market is much bigger because we're a national firm.
Right.
Again, when you're a generalist, you tend to have a geographic market that you're targeting that's maybe 100 miles, 200 miles, something like that. So our market area is much bigger, or we're reaching out to 20,000 independent insurance agencies every month. So we're fishing in a bigger pond. We've done so many deals that we really know the market value better than anybody,
Hmm.
and we know the buyers, and we know we've learned all about the industry. I've got property and casualty and life and health insurance licenses, so I understand the industry really well. So you know, it just you you're fully entrenched, so you know exactly what you're dealing with when you get
Yeah.
into an engagement.
So then on the flip side, what I'm an insurance, I'm an insurance agency. I want to sell my business. I want to go with you. Like, what advantages does that give me as the business owner that you guys have this expertise?
We've negotiated with every buyer that's out there for the most part. Every professional buyer, I'll say. So we know who is. The market changes every year in our space. So one buyer could be hot one year, the next year they change their appetite, or they get in a financial pinch, where some of them are sitting right now with interest rates being higher. So we know what's happening in the marketplace. We understand like where different buyers are going to come in with their offer and offer structure, who's the right fit for the right type of agency. Um, like we just closed a deal where we took it to market with one expectation. Most of the offers were kind of near what we expected. We found two highly strategic buyers and got the client like 25% more than where everybody else was sitting. So it's you can deliver a lot of value when you understand which buyer is the right fit, because
Hmm.
they'll come in way over the top on everybody else.
Hmm.
And so that was a good, successful one engagement that we just wrapped up like 2 days ago.
That's good. And on the flip side, are there any challenges that being a specialist poses?
Um, well, obviously, there could be cycles in any industry. Like right now in the insurance industry, we're in a really hard market. Everybody sees that with their auto and homeowners premiums. So there are challenges. For us, we're in a highly competitive space. There are 40 plus private equity backed firms acquiring insurance agencies, which is our specialty. So they're out there prospecting the teams, So we're running up against buyers more than we are competitors. And
Hmm.
outside of that, there are a number of competitors. So depends on the space, but based on the one that we're in is really competitive. But other industry cycle like construction market, if you're dealing with contractors, there's cycles of when that's hot and when the construction market cools off. So there's risks with specializing, but there's plenty of benefits as well.
Hmm. Now, when we've talked in a previous conversation just about the insurance industry in general compared to just general M&A, and the fees and what you guys as an M&A firm make and you mentioned something about um, general M&A being, I guess, higher in fees that you collect. Why don't you go? Would you mind diving into that a little bit?
Sure. Yeah. Yeah. I mean, probably the generalists. Well, I know I've seen the fee structures. Their fees are higher than ours, but it's I think of it like this: being the difference between a generalist and specialist. A generalist, you go from selling a distribution business to selling a retail business. Every time you're breaking down the assembly line, re-putting it back together, it takes longer to figure out that business, longer to get it on the market, longer to find the buyers, and so your sales cycle is a lot more drawn out. Whereas ours, we're running the same assembly line. Every deal's somewhat different, but we're bringing it
Yeah.
through the same process, going to a lot of the same buyers. So our sales cycle is a lot shorter, which is another benefit of specializing.
Hmm.
But so you know, and since we're in a competitive space, our fees tend to be less than what a generalist M&A firm would charge for the same type of transaction.
And correct me if I'm wrong, but as far as volume of deals go in a year, like you guys are doing more deals than a generalist typically.
Yes, they're 30 to 40, 100 to 150 million.
Yeah.
They actually will be over 150 this year, I think.
Nice. What yeah, what is because what was it? And we were together in Houston at the M&A Source Conference, and I think that was at that point, maybe it's since then, that was 2 3 years ago. That was your best year yet, right?
It was, yeah. We're going to
And you
break that
so
this year. That's my
graciously
goal.
invited a couple. What's that?
So my goal is to break it this year.
Okay. So, and you're so gracious to maybe we just jumped into the group, but you're so gracious to bring us out to your celebration dinner at a really nice steakhouse. A couple of us went, which was amazing, and it was so fun to celebrate that amazing year you guys had with you. So I know I've said it before, but appreciate that. That was a lot of fun.
Yeah, it was fun.
But yeah, so yeah, best of luck breaking that. Are you on track to break that best year ever?
Yes, we are.
Nice, nice. Well, good luck with that. And I know that we've built a group of what I would consider the best of the best in the lower middle market, and we're continuing to look to grow our alliance. Um, but we've talked a lot about you being a specialist and what that can mean for what Cornerstone International Alliance can provide for you or other specialty type of firms. And so, what do you get, and what do you see the value in being part of this network of M&A professionals that is a mix of specialists and generalists, and what are the your value points that you value in being in this group?
To getting a group of specialists together.
Well, we'll get to that. We'll get to that in a second. I'm just talking about now general, like the alliance, the alliance as it is today, and
Yeah.
in the past. You guys are a founding member, so you've been in with us for 5 years. I guess kind of take us through how that's been helpful for you guys.
Yeah, I mean, I think the half of the value for the peer group is in the best practices discussions, getting the principals together to talk about issues and challenges and how to grow their firms. The other half is in the value of the people themselves. The other, the other principals of M&A firms who are all high caliber folks that I enjoy hanging out with. They're great people. I mean, that's any peer group. If you've got a decent peer group, it's kind of the same way. 50% of the value is the people that are in it, and 50% are what you learn from it.
Mm-hmm.
So we have a lot of best practices discussions. We have discussions about how are you building value in your firm, like the things that we coach our clients on. So yeah, it's great to be part of a group of folks that are all fighting the same fight.
Right now, you guys are just we established you're the specialist in the insurance industry, and so I hear all the time in our group. If I have an insurance deal, I'm going right to Mike and his team. And, whether it's I'm going to take it on or I'm going to, give it to Mike because, he'd do the best job. Like, what have you heard? I guess if you have an example or generally speaking, like, what have you heard from other, members in the group about, reaching out to you as a specialist and helping, give them advice or, giving you, opportunities? How's that been going and working?
Yeah, I mean, I believe in staying in your lane, right? So we have a specialty. So, and some of the other members obviously agree. Like if they get a referral for an insurance agency client, we've had two come from members in the last year, and then we'll turn around and do the same thing. Like we don't. There's industries we don't get into. There's a lot of industries we don't get into. So I've given referrals to other members as well. So it's to everyone's benefit because you want the best outcome for the client, and so you want to steer it to the advisor that's going to do the best job for them.
You just mentioned you've referred out, and previously you talked about the people in the alliance. Like when you're referring a deal that's not right for you, maybe it's outside the insurance industry, and you're referring it to someone else. Talk about that and how. I mean, you're kind of putting yourself out there a little bit, referring a deal over to someone. You got to trust that person, right?
Of course, yeah,
And I'm assuming, within this group that there's that trust is there.
yeah. I mean, at this point, how many years we've been together? I mean, most of the members I knew before we joined the alliance, so
Yeah,
there was already
yeah.
a relationship there. But Now we've gotten to know each other a lot more through all the meetings and discussions and everything. So 100%. I mean, the members of the Cornerstone Alliance are some of the best, highest quality individuals in the industry.
Yeah. And we have yourself. We have another probably two or three other
Yeah.
specialty groups in the alliance. Um,
Do you want to
you and I
redo
have
that
talked.
because the smoke alarm just went off?
That's all right. That's all right. It happens. The building's okay, right?
Yeah, they're testing it today. I forgot about that.
Well, you and I talked a lot about creating a small network, a subgroup of M&A specialists within our group. You know, here's a cheap plug for any M&A firms out there who specialize. You know, we're in the process of creating a network, a group of just M&A specialists. What were your thoughts on that, and what are you most excited about? Us developing a group like that.
Yeah, so I think it's a peer group, and while everybody in the Cornerstone Alliance is a peer, our business models are somewhat different. So a generalist practitioner tends to build relationships with accountants and local CPAs, attorneys, and other advisors. They get a lot of business through referral and networking. That's a different model from us. We're a marketing machine, like we do tons and tons of marketing, and that's probably true for a lot of specialty firms. So I think there's it's just a slightly different business model. So there's best practices and things that we've learned that we can share with another firm, and maybe other firms have learned different tricks of the trade that they could share in terms of how they generate clients or get in front of clients. So that's part of it. And then there's also other, like we're looking at other services because we're so deeply entrenched in the industry, like getting into maybe setting up our own peer group of insurance agency owners or providing benchmarking services. So there's other things that maybe different specialty firms have also already done that we could learn from, or that they could learn from us.
Yeah, as they say, iron sharpens iron, right?
That's right.
Yeah, so that is coming soon. I know I and we are working on developing that group. So looking forward to that and what that could bring for everybody as well. So appreciate your help on that, and I know that's going to be a great group of firms. And then so the last thing I want to hit on is just how you structure your firm from a employee you know advisor type of setup. I know you got deal makers, you got back office support, you got marketing, you got all that sort of stuff, but you guys structure your firm a little differently than what I would call the norm for M&A. Would you mind explaining how your firm is structured?
Yes, the so we work as a team. So everybody's a W-2 employee. I think talked about that before.
Yeah.
We really do work as a team. I've got the head of marketing, got one person so far. It's in business development. We're going to expand that team.
Mm,
So they're the tip of the spear. Getting in front of prospective clients, getting our name out there, building a relationship, and then we've got a valuation team. So their job is to do the business valuations, to help with the due diligence stage. And then we've got a team of M&A advisors who take the client engagements and run with them.
mhm,
So kind of like the finder, minder, binder, but
mhm.
not as. I mean, it's a little more evolved than that, I think.
Yeah. Were you guys always structured that way,
Um,
or did you
no,
have
not
the
really.
1099?
Yeah, I mean, we're so my business partner retired last year, which
Yep.
and so for many years it was him and I, doing most of the client engagement to bring clients in. So we're transitioning our model to more of a company. Uh, like I said, we've got a marketing and business development team that we're having that's doing a lot of the outreach, and then I'll get engaged in the conversations with the prospective clients. So we're in the middle of transitioning to more of like a corporate structure than a professional practice structure.
Yeah. Let's turn back real quick to the start of the discussion. Talked about getting into the industry, and most people, and you were 27, right? And most people, advisors, are you come in and you're 100% commission, And I think that kind of trigger you coming in there and trying to create a way, pave a path for you being young to get into the industry, not having to be 100% commission. And how did that help you? And I think more people are adopting that model for bringing younger talent into the industry.
Yes. Well, I was the test case. Lou, my retired partner, brought me on a salary, but it wasn't a lot. I was making less than my wife, who was a teacher at the time. So, yeah. And then 2 years in, put me on 100% commission, which is when I got super aggressive. But our
Yeah,
model now is everybody's got a base salary, and then they share in you know, their
the success.
performance and the performance of the company.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. And I see, and I think that's a way, and correct me if I'm wrong, I think that's a way that a lot of M&A firms out there bringing in younger talent into the industry is to bring them on, kind of a base salary, sharing some of the success, but going through the whole process of maybe being an analyst and a researcher and doing the
Yeah.
due diligence, creating the documents, all this sort of stuff to kind of understand how the infrastructure of the industry works before diving into leading deals.
Yeah, I mean, we want to create a career path. So I'm, in my mid 40s, been doing it for 17, 18 years already. Um, a lot of the principals get in as a last, career before they retire. So
Mhm.
we have a longer view of things. Like I just made a job offer to a 22-year-old. And the whole idea is come in, you're going to learn a lot. There's different career paths. You can stay in the analyst side. You can go into marketing, business development, go in the M&A side, or maybe some of these other services we end up spinning off.
Mhm.
But we want high quality young folks that are smart, hungry, and we want to give them a long term career here. That's the objective because there is such a high learning curve that if you have high turnover, then you're constantly going backwards. So if we can retain people and over long term, then we're going to continue to grow.
Yeah, yeah. Spend more time, hiring the wrong person and trying to find the new person than
Yeah,
putting in the work on the front end to make sure that they're, doing well and successful and they want to stay in for the long run. So yeah, definitely kudos
yeah.
to
I
you
mean,
on
if
that because I
if we're
think
constantly turning people over, then we're never advancing the football. So we
right, right,
we got to
yep,
keep people.
yep. And I think, and just talking with you over the last you and your firm over the last 5 years, you guys do a really good job of advancing your employees, treating them well, and retaining them. So
Yep.
definitely wanted to make sure we covered that. All right, Michael, thanks for joining us. That is all we have for today. Appreciate the time. And one thing that could really help both Mike and I out is to like, share, and comment this video and share it with anybody who you think might enjoy it. Share it with a specialty M&A insurance practice. Have them reach out if they want to get in our group because I think that smaller network of specialty firms is going to be great. You can check out all of our episodes at cornerstoneia.com/podcast. Mike, where can they find you guys?
Our website's agencybrokerage.com. It's pretty easy.
Okay, check it out. They got a lot of great information. They put out a lot of great content. So, Mike, appreciate you being an amazing member, friend, and great insights and helping me out, helping our members out. And so, good luck on breaking that record this year.
Thanks, Nick.
And until next time, remember that there is great power in the connection. There is great power. It's easy for me to say in the connections that we create, and that's what we are based off of here at Cornerstone International Line. So thank you, and until next time.